Hello, beautiful souls out there. I hope you're able to get out in nature like Starlight is. And yes, Starlight is out here, out in nature. And this is one of those days. Starlight could stay out here all day because I really needed this so bad. So anyway, I love you all, and I hope you're getting out in nature somewhere. And today, before I get started, too ahead of myself here, is if you are new to my YouTube channel, welcome, and you could find me on YouTube, and that is at Starlight, and that is Kathy with a K Dingman. Plus, you could give me my videos a thumbs up, and you could subscribe to my YouTube channel. Plus, don't be afraid, don't be shy, swing by and say hi to Starlight by leaving Starlight a message down below. Beep, beep, beep. And you could share my videos with your family or friends. I did see some animals on the way. They weren't real, but somebody made artwork out here. This is a beautiful trail. I've been out here before, and the artwork that I've seen on the way, it was a fox made out of some kind of like metals, and I don't know what kind of metals it was, or brass or whatever, and a turtle. So yes, you could share my videos with them, and you can also check out my playlist. Plus, you could find me on Instagram at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook, and that is Kathy with a K Dingman. And always, I want to say a big, huge thank you to all of you. Yes, you. Some of you have been here before I started my YouTube, on Facebook, and all the way through. I thank you if you just recently just joined, or you've been here with Starlight for a while. You've been here. Thank you for those of you who watch my videos. Give me a thumbs up, subscribe, or even leave me a message, or even share my videos. So anyway, whoopsie, I did that a little. And because this is my YouTube channel, I could do whatever I want. And today's video is about be the change I want to see in the world. Ta-da! And I am remaking a video. Somehow or another, a video got deleted. This is not the first time this has happened since being a YouTuber. So if I am behind, I'm so sorry. It's because my video got deleted somehow or another. It's not on my phone at all. So I'm remaking the video that I already made. So here we go. Like I was saying in the first video that I made, of course, anytime I remake a video, it's never going to be the way it was the first time. So what I was saying in the video that I made yesterday is that, we can all make a difference out in the world, and even the title is different. I was going to have a different title, but it wasn't really sticking, to me as far as, being the correct title name for this video. So anyway, is today it's about, because a lot is going on in the world. And like with, I made a video yesterday with Charles Kirk in it, and, about now is not the time to back down, don't back down now is the title of that video. So if you didn't watch it, that was a very powerful message for all of us. And so this is a beautiful trail. I haven't been out here since last year around this time. So this is in the Kansas area. So anyway, I got some family here. So anyway, I'm going to just pull over on the side because it's such a beautiful trail and I don't want to miss it. So anyway, today is because of the, about Charles Kirk, which I didn't know the guy, and maybe you didn't know who Charles Kirk was either, but it doesn't matter that we know him or knew him or whatever. It's just the whole part of the message is that he's a human being, a human spirit, a human being having a human experience, a spirit being having a human experience, just like all of us. And it's a shame what happened. And, but like every day, throughout the day, we have many souls that are no longer here. And it is a shame. And we need to slow down in life and really think of, that's okay. I love the background noise. Enjoy your day. And so today, here we go. It's about, what are what are we all doing to make that difference in the world? What are we all doing to be that change that you want to see in the world? And, I have to say, I was guilty of this when I was younger because I didn't know any better. When I was younger, I was thinking, hey, it's, people out there somewhere is going to take care of all this mess out in the world. I didn't think I had anything, so even though I was always doing something out in the world, is that, I thought, hey, I'll let everybody else take care of that. And Starlight doesn't know where these trails are going to go because this is like a maze in here. This is like animal trails. And I remember coming out here before, but I do want to make a cool video on this topic about how these trails are. But anyway, I'm trying to find the right spot. There's a beautiful trail out in this area somewhere with the trees. So anyway, we all have something to put out in the world. And you know what? I'm gonna kind of talk about other things, other stories that kind of connect with some of you, because I can get lost on these trails. It's too funny because they are like little animal trails here. Now, those of you that celebrate Christmas, now Starlight used to celebrate Christmas with the Santa Claus and the trees, the Christmas tree, and the Rudolph the reindeer, when my kids were little. And the reason I'm going to talk about Christmas now, where the heck did Starlight go? What is she talking about Christmas for? Well, there's people that think like this, because I used to think like this. When you want to give somebody a gift, how many times have you see these trails? It's hard to say. How many times in your past that you wanted to buy somebody a gift, and you really wanted to surprise them? It was a heart-based gift. That means that you meant with your heart. You were, you wanted to see them excited. You wanted to see them happy. But then what it is that you didn't have a lot of money. And you felt like, they're not going to really like what I have to give because, I only have a little bit of money. And it's not going to really do what I want. It's like I want them to be so surprised. And, I want them, I want to see that expression on their face, how shocked they are. Because of that, isn't that what giving is like, is to surprise somebody and, give them something when they don't expect it and see that expression on their face. See, that's why I got to backtrack. This is what happened before. I haven't been out here in a year, so Starlight is, so that is somewhat, the way people are in society is that, they don't do anything out in the world because they feel like they have to have lots of money to really have a big, huge impact on what is going on in the world. They got all these big, high expectations of what they want to do. And, it's not that they're, there's people that really care and they do want to make a difference in the world, but they don't think that they have anything that's worth bringing to the table. They don't think, that they have anything that would really make a huge impact. And I have to say, if you're one of those people, you know what? You're wrong. You don't need a lot of money to make a huge impact in the world. You really don't. You really don't. You need a lot of money, and I had these dreams too, is like, oh my, what would I do if I had a lot of money? Where would my money go if I had a lot of money? I am rich, I am rich, I am rich, I am rich, I am abundant, I am abundant, I am abundant, I am wealthy, I am wealthy. We are already wealthy, we are already rich, but I know the cash flow isn't there right now, right? But we are rich. All that is inside of us. When we do that inner work, God will bless us in such ways. But you know what? It's not about the money and like doing this and doing that, because there's a lot of people already doing that out there. There's a lot of people that are giving one way or another out in society. And it's about being kind. being kind. But you know what? On that note is, you might not love yourself. Like I said, this video is not going to be like anything like yesterday's video. So you might not love yourself. How can you put love out in the world when you're hard on yourself, when you look in the mirror in the morning and you're disgusted of who you see when you wake up? You don't want to go out in public. You're embarrassed of who you are because of the outside shell that you see. How can you really send love out in the world when you don't love yourself? And so that is really, if you want to be a blessing out in the world, it really starts with you first focusing on yourself. Work on yourself. You have plenty to give, and we can't fake it out in the world. People are going to know, like when I go out, and I just did this earlier, and I got invited to a party today, a dinner out here, because you know what? I seen a family out here in a beautiful coloring clothes. They're having I don't know if it's family or friends or what the group is, but they invited me to come back, and have some food with them and dance and listen to some music and stuff like that. And they got some kind of, I'm not really good with instruments, but some kind of drums. And I was like, wow, isn't it? And that's just because I was like, wow, look at the beautiful clothes that you're wearing. And I love, it's like African clothing and colors and all that stuff. It's so beautiful. Starlight loves colors and loves designs. And I love when I see people wearing clothes that they love, and they're not afraid to express themselves, that they really, they love wearing certain clothes, and I love that. And all it took was Starlight to be real. When I say something, I'm sorry, I'm looking around, is to let people know, hey, I love your clothes. It doesn't take much to put peace out in the world and love out in the world, but I love myself. I've been working on myself, so I can do this. But not everybody can do what I'm doing. We can, but how can you really get somebody to believe what you say if you're not true to yourself first? So this is a huge problem in the world, is being true to yourself first, so then you can, because it's simple. It's simple just to send love out in the world. But for some, they really struggle. I used to be that one long time ago because of what people said about me, being called names and, feeling like I was stupid. I didn't feel like I had anything to offer the world. And so there's people out there that feels like this. They don't feel like they have anything to offer the world, because of what they've been told their whole life. Starlight is going out on these little trails here. So, but you got to understand is that you got to first love yourself, and love who you are. And you can put that love out in the world, and you can make a difference, by letting people know that you care, by giving eye contact and, saying some kind word to somebody. And also the other thing is that, there's people out in the world that they're givers. I'm a giver. I am a giver. I can't help but to give. And there's other people out in the world, they're takers. They're more to take than to give. It's all about them. It's not about, helping out and helping out in the world. Sorry, I've never gone through this way. So Starlight's gonna turn around. This is how these trails are. They die out sometimes. So we can be that change in the world, but it does start with us. We got to do that, and that's what this is about. My YouTube channel is that you got to do that work on yourself first, and that's what I've been doing for years. And there's some people that don't do anything out in the world, and why? Sometimes it's because the way they were brought up, is that we're all supposed to be family, and we're supposed to act like a family, but do we act like a family? No, we don't act like we act like, we're all aliens from other planets, we don't know each other, We don't even, a lot of times people don't give eye contact, don't even say hi to each other. There's a lot of that goes on everywhere you go, no matter where you are, no matter what skin color you are. We all get treated like that at times, where people give you an evil eye and you didn't do nothing, and you never know what people are going through, and that's why it's so important. We can learn a lot about Charles Kirk, as far as what happened, and it's very sad. And I found out, today, because of my mentor, Infinite Waters, Ralph Smart, that he did the update on what is going on, and it's really a shame that, the man that shot this Charles, that they might put him to death, the death penalty, to, use him as a way to teach other people that, we don't want other people trying to follow this man, by killing people because, you don't like what somebody said. So it's sad, but you know what we can do, we might not be able to control any of that, what is going on out there, but what we can do here is we need to send more love out in the world. That's what the world needs. That's what we need. We need more peace and love out in the world. Don't get angry and upset with, we can get angry and upset for what is going on, but you know what? Like in the Old Testament, it used to be an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, but that's not the way this is anymore. So we need to keep our hearts right, and instead of, wanting to hate, for the things that are going on, we need to really work on ourselves and put love out in the world, because that's what the world needs, not to, hate anybody for what they've done, but keep our hearts right and pray for those people out there that lost their father, that lost their husband, lost their friends, their friend. And even though that was the story about Charles Kirk, is that we lose people every day. So many, I don't even know how many, if it's every second of the day or what, I have no clue how that goes, but every day there's souls that are lost and that are no longer here. And so a lot of times what happens is life is going too fast. People are going too fast. We're in a hurry, getting nowhere, and we really don't stop and really be grateful for the things that is going on in our lives with our family, and the people that we surround ourselves with. So we really need to really slow down in life and be grateful for our families and spend more time with our families. We need to, look for ways that we can be that change that we want to see in the world, and that we all can do that if we're all a family. And like I mentioned in the video yesterday that got deleted somehow or another, is, some families get brought up where, they got brothers and sisters, or maybe they didn't even have any brothers or sisters, and, where the parents are spoiling their kids rotten. They might, some of the kids, like the older ones, might have been forced to do house chores, and then to have the other ones not do any house chores. And we need to really bring up our kids in such a way that we teach them and get them prepared for the future. Get them prepared about doing great deeds out in the world and being a help to other people. And like I was saying in the video yesterday, is I've gone to places like food pantries or different places that were helping out people that needed it, either families that have low income or people that were homeless, that they brought their children in to teach them a thing. And it was to teach them about volunteering and helping out the homeless people. And when I saw that, I was like, wow, that is beautiful. That is really the kind of thing that we should be doing with our kids, is to, like helping out. And when I had my kids, I have to say, Starlight was out picking up kids. So my kids, they saw what Starlight was doing. I was out there. I was picking up kids and I was involved. So I am one of those people that I can say I did that when my kids were being brought up, as my kids knew that their mommy loved helping out, and I didn't get paid for that. No, the reward is how great it made me feel. A lot of people, you know what? They won't do shit unless they get money. They're like, I'm not volunteering. I'm not getting any money out of that. But you're missing out. You're missing out on really what's going on. It's not about the money. It's about how you feel. It is how it's more rewarding. There's jobs that I had, it wasn't rewarding to me. I didn't get a good pay, and I didn't feel good about myself later on, about the job. Especially if you work in a company that they're pushing you to go fast. They act like they care about how the job gets done, but they don't give you enough time to actually do the kind of job that you want. Then you're being, I don't know where this trail is. There is a cool trail out here. So you're being pushed to hurry up, do a job, and when it's done, you're looking at how dirty it still is, and you're like, really? This is, and that's why I started my own cleaning business. Is number one, I can do it my way. I can set my own hours and get paid what I want. And you know what? I can feel good about when I got done with a job. I can feel great about myself because that was fulfilling in my life. That was, something that, made me feel really good is when I started the job, the house was a mess and I got paid to clean the house, but I felt great about myself, and it was a great feeling to walk out of a clean house knowing how nasty I felt when I started and how beautiful and clean, and even though my body was dirty because I had to clean germs, but I felt better about myself. So just because, there's a lot of people out there that do volunteer their time, and I'm so grateful to those people, lots of people out there, and this is kind of what I'm doing. I'm a volunteer. I'm out here, and God helps me. God supplies all my needs and everything like that. God just gave me $20 for gas today, so God is taking care of me because I am out here. It's not like I get a paycheck at the end of the week every week, but no, God is taking care of all my needs. And so think about like the things that are out there that, you might have. There's some people that retire. They don't have nothing going on in their life, and they're bored. You might even be a person that goes to work, but you're not fulfilled. You're not even fulfilled at the job that you're at. If that's you, you're not at the right job. And what if you got, you're a single person, you don't have a family, and you got all these hours and you get bored and you end up finding yourself doing things like sitting around watching video games or being on a computer wasting your time away, where you could actually volunteer and help out in the world, because the world needs this. The world needs your smiling face. The world needs people that are willing to let go of things that don't matter anymore and jump into things where people are needed. There's a lot of people that are needed out in the world to volunteer their time, and a lot of those places, it says volunteers. You know what? A lot of those volunteers, those companies, they bless them by giving them food. They might be able to pick out what they want. They get something out of it sometimes, not all the time, but it's not, like I said, it's not about getting anything. It's about how you feel. Seeing, I'll tell you what, I've seen a lot of people volunteering at food banks and stuff like that. And I let every single one of those people, as much as I can, that are there where I can see them, and I tell them how grateful I am. And they, what they tell me? They go, thank you for coming. You make my day that you're coming in here, because it makes them feel so good that they know that they're doing a good deed and helping out in the world. And we need more people like that. There's places out there that would love to have you to help out and be a part, but there's some kids, there's families that brought their kids up, and you know what? They didn't have them do house chores. They didn't have them do anything. They did all the work for them. And how is that going to be when those kids get older? What are they going to be like when they get older? Are they going to be like, hey, oh, I think I found this spot. This is cool. Yeah, I think I found the spot. Hello, I am so sorry. I was recording and I didn't realize only until I was starting to record the video that my battery was dying, and I'm so sorry. I was hoping I was able to finish the video. So right now, Starlight is just gonna continue the where I left off. So where I left off was at the spot of saying how parents, not all parents do this, because my parents did not do that. You might have parents that were guilty of this and guilty of that, didn't do this right, didn't do that right, but there's got to be something they did right. And so as far as my family goes, is that my family did put us to work as kids. Was that a bad thing? Absolutely not. Did I complain? Absolutely. So, and this is why a lot of parents actually that do bring up kids, they don't want to make their kids do something because they know. What do they know, Starlight? They know it's going to be a lot of darn hard work. It is. That means that mom and dad won't be able to go, hang out at their friend's house. That means that they won't be able to go at the bar or the casino or the mall or wherever they go. That means that they got to actually stay at the house and teach their kids like how to do chores. And you're probably wondering, why are you talking about this? Well, I'll get there, because this is a big, huge problem in the world, is because when we don't bring our kids up and teach them that you got chores to do, and that they got work at the house to do, and you got to get them ready and prepared for later on for the future. So when they live on their own, are you going to come and clean up their bedroom? Are you going to come and mow the grass for them? Because there's parents. Starlight was a witness to this many times. I had my own cleaning business, and these were educated people that had good businesses. I mean, companies that they went and worked for, highly educated people. So it's not about the education that people have all the time. A lot of people get so stuck on. Well, then there's people that do get stuck, they're stuck up because they got an education and they got all this, and, and then they get prideful of, look at all what I got, look at all what I've done. But how is their heart? What are they doing? Are they having the balance? It's great to learn and it's great to educate yourself, and I'm not putting that down. It's about, what are you doing? Is your house upside down? Is it messy? Are you able to keep up on the things that are important? That is what's important. Is it's great to get filled with wisdom, read books, study about things that matter in the world, things that are going to help you for your future. Great. But how are you going to be as far as parents when you have kids? Are you going to be a parent that's like, hey, maybe your parents didn't make you clean your room, and where they always cleaned it all up and all that, and you're like, that's all you knew. And so then when you have kids, and then you're like, hey, I'm just going to do what my family did. My family just cleaned up my room. Well, is that really helping your children to get ready for the future? And the reason why I'm saying all this is that we're supposed to all be family. So imagine that out in the world, like is going on right now, that, I don't even know how many people are in the world, but say that only a certain percentage of the people are doing all the work, and the other percentage of the people are not doing anything. And it takes little things, little things. It doesn't always have to be something big, and that's why I mentioned earlier about Christmas. You don't have to have all this money and think that I have to have all this money, and if I don't have all that money, then I'm not going to do anything, because I feel like, I need a lot of money to fix the world's problem. But really, we need to work on ourselves first before we can work on, fix anything out there. It's all inside. If everyone in the whole entire world worked on themselves, there would not be a war out there. People would not be shooting people because they had, their own opinions and their own thoughts and their own beliefs. There wouldn't be people out there doing that, because if we all were working on ourselves, we started to love ourselves and got healed, out there would be all fixed. There would not be that problem. And that's why it's so important to bring our kids up in such a good way, to teach them. I did that with my son. See, when I'm saying this, I'm going to let you know, that is what I did with my son. my son had a job when he was old enough to work. When he had he got done with got his GED. It might have been not in a public school, but he did get his GED, where he got a paper that let him know, let the people know that he did get that, so he can go get a different job if he needed. But he started out, and he worked and worked and worked and worked. And he was making pennies. Those people were ripping him off. They really were. They were ripping me off. They were ripping him off. But he stayed, and he worked at a nursery with plants and stuff, saved up that money, got himself, that he did all on his own. I didn't put any of that money to buy his car. He did that. You know what? And then I had to teach him, hey, you went out and worked. And, it's like, okay, go to work and go back home and play video games. No, there's chores to do. The yard, I was working, he was working. I had to teach him that, hey, it's just you and I here. There was no man helping Starlight out to mow the grass. Who's going to mow the grass? Who's going to shovel the snow? I did planting outside. He did most of we both took turns, but he did most of the mowing the grass. So I was teaching him. His room, guess what? His room is his responsibility. I'm not going to have a child in the house having a messy room. So his room is clean. He helped out with the garbage. I did the cooking and the cleaning. And if everybody did this with their families, and you don't have to have it in that order, but the girls need to learn how to mow. The girls need to know how to do the garbage, how to do dirty jobs. And the guys, they need to learn how to cook. The women need to learn how to cook. The men need to learn how to clean. Why? So when they get on their own, is mommy and daddy going to go to their house and clean No, mommy and daddy's going to have their own shit to take care of. And if we taught our kids to do that, and us, also to teach your kids about doing certain things out in the community. I did this with my kids, is we went out and we picked up garbage before. We did. I was on foot. We did not have a car. And so I'm like, yeah, you know what? I was tired of seeing the garbage everywhere we went. So I figured, you know what? We're walking this way. Yeah, it might have took longer to, get to the store. And of course, the next day or the next time we went out, to go back to that same store, because that was like a mile away on foot to bring 2 kids, was a lot. Yes, it's a lot of work. And that is why a lot of people, they're like, hey, it's easier for me just to do their room because I don't have to hear them complain. It's easier for me because I don't have to train them. But you're hurting them in the long run. You really are. So teach your kids about, how are you out in public with people? And this is what is so important. How are you with people out in public? Are you rude to people? Do you talk ugly about people when they don't even know it? What are your words like when you see a homeless person? What if a homeless person came up to you out in public, and they came up to you, and I actually went through this today, is I went to a man, and he had a son, he had a family with him, his daughter, not his daughter, but his wife and his son is probably about 11 years old, and they're going to go out and enjoy the water because they had some kind of ski jet thing that they were pulling, on the trailer behind their vehicle. And I went up to the man, and, I let him know who I am, what I'm doing. I'm on a mission with God, and I'm like, could you possibly help me out? I need some gas. And he said, no, I can't help you out. And that man had the money. It's not that he didn't have the money. Now, how's that going to affect his son? And then I prayed and asked God to put it on somebody's heart to send somebody there at that gas station to help me out with gas. There was a man that was on the side, pulled up, and I went to him and did the same thing. He was happily to help me out and gave me $20, exactly what I was asking God for gas. I went in the gas station. That man that said no and had his son, he might have, I'm hoping that God will put it on his heart that, God help me out anyway. There's people that don't want nothing to do with God. Okay, I understand you might not want nothing to do with God, but what if I came up to somebody and said, hey, I need some food? Does it really matter if you believe in God or not? So what if I'm actually, I'm on a mission with God, and I have a YouTube channel, Be the Change That You Want to See in the World, and I come up to you and I say, please, I need some help. I'm on a mission with God. I have a YouTube channel. It's about Be the Change That You Want to See in the World. Right now, I need some help. I really do. I need some food. And you say no, and you have a son or a daughter with you. What are you teaching, And then you go out later on and you're going out to the mall and you're doing this and that and you have the money. It's not that you don't have money. It's just that there's people out there, they don't want nothing to do with God. They're haters of God. They don't want nothing to do with God. What does it have to do with me if I'm asking for help? You might have a problem with God, but did I do anything? So God's going to test anybody out there in the world. So what are you teaching your kids? What are you passing down to your family? What are you passing down to your kids? It's so important, like I said earlier, about teaching your kids about how are you out in community? How do you talk about the people at church? How about at work? Do you complain about your jobs? Do you complain about, cleaning up the house? Because when you do that, you're teaching your kids that it's not a great, fun thing to do. When they're little, they don't know any better. They think it's fun, and you got to be wise on how you handle it. Be grateful that you got clothes that you can put in the washer. Be grateful that you got food that you have in a refrigerator. Be grateful that you have dishes that are in your cupboard that you can actually clean so you can use, so you can eat. Be grateful that you have a toilet. So that toilet needs to get clean. Teach your kids how to clean that toilet. But Starlight, you don't understand how long that's going to take. But you know what? I got you on that. Because when you put the hard work in now, you're going to benefit later on when they do it on their own. All you got to do is say, but you got to teach them the right way. You're going to prepare them for a better future. You could give them all the education that they want, but what are you doing? All that education is great if they get the right kind of education, but they need a balance. They need a balance of the both, so then when they get out in the world, they don't just know about making money. They know about being responsible in the home, so then when they do want to have a family, they know how to do the dishes. They don't have to hire someone. And that's what I noticed with my cleaning business. They were hiring cleaners. When there's kids at the house that could help out and participate, hiring people to do the landscaping. When I was a kid, I was the dishwasher. I was the babysitter. I was a full-time mom at a very young age. I was doing it all. My sister was a little baby. I was a little kid, already taking care of a little baby I was too young, really, to be honest, taking care of a baby. So I was already working at a very, very young age how to be a mom, and with my sister is handicapped and blind, and I didn't even know it. I treated her just like a regular kid. I didn't treat her any different. I love my sister, but what are you teaching your kids? Is that, hey, all you got to do is hire somebody. You figure if the whole family does the work together at the family, you can have that time together with your family instead of everybody going away doing their own thing and nobody's at the house. Now you got landscapers coming, you got a person, there's some things, yes, you got to hire people because you don't have the tools or the equipment. That's understandable, but the lawn, to mow the grass or having a garden, or cleaning the house or even cooking the food, those are things that you want to educate your kids and train them about how to talk to people out in public. Do you walk by people stuck up, have your nose up in the air and, when somebody says hi to you, do you teach your children to say hi back? That's something that they need to learn. Do you ever go and be friendly out in public with your family? They need to see that. This is why there's a big, huge problem in the world. That's why there's people out there shooting a man because he had his own opinion. That could have been one of your kids. That could have been one of your kids because of how they were brought up. Now, how do you think the person that that shot this Charlie Kirk, how do you think his family feels that he did that? They're going to have to think of what they were talking about when he was growing up. What kind of things were they saying? I was in a dangerous situation a long time ago where I had a stepson that I thought he would have blown my brains out. Just like that, just like that. I know what it's like being under a gun, not knowing if the kid's going to have a tantrum and just blow my brains out. It's a scary thing. And why? It's because of what that child, it's not the child's fault, it's how that child was being brought up. Anger. Kids not dealing with anger. And where did they learn it? They learned it from their family. They learned it from the people that brought them up. So, that stuff, and that's why it's so important. If you got problems at the house, you need to go and get the proper care, the proper help that, your kids need. If they got tempers, flipping out and, and losing their control, losing their cool, they need help. They need therapy. Maybe mom and dad needs therapy. Maybe mom and dad needs to seek counseling, get a therapist, instead of thinking, I got this. No, you don't. You don't have it. If you lose your cool, you need healing. You need help. That's what's wrong with this world. All of us need healing. That's what I've been going through for years, is going through a healing. So what are we doing with our children as far as how are they going to be out in public? We are supposed to be a family. If we all did our part and did something to help out on the planet, there wouldn't be a problem out there. And that is why it's so important to get your kids involved in doing something out in the community, like volunteering and helping out, giving a helping hand, picking up garbage, cleaning up, doing something, find something out in public where they can be used, and or even teach them to be kind to people when you're out in public. Don't act like because you got a lot of money, because this happens many times. There's people that have lots of money and, they don't even say hi to anybody. So, and it's not just those people, it's people that don't have any money, that they walk by and they don't even say hi to anybody when they're out in public, and they're not kind. So we really need to turn that around. If you want to change in the world, that's where it starts. It starts with you and it starts with me. That's why my YouTube channel is Be the Change That You Want to See in the World. We got to do that inner work first, but we got to bring that, and teach that to our children. Your children are not going to learn that on their own. They're not going to learn that in the public school. It's not the public school's job. It's not the church's job. It's not the government's job. It's the parents' job. It's the parents' job to bring up the kids in such a way that you're preparing them for the real world. You're preparing them how you want to see the world, and by teaching them and training them up to be kind out in public. I taught my kids manners. I had my son opening up doors. He was pumping my gas. My daughter wasn't there in that time, so it was only my son. But really, that's where it all starts. It starts at the family, and I love you so much. So, Starlight's got an itch. So I love you. You could give this video a thumbs up, and you could subscribe to my YouTube channel. Plus, you can leave me a message down below, beep, 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 and you can also share my videos with your family, your friends. Let me see, a rabbit, silly old rabbit, and also a squirrel. Plus, you could check me out on Instagram at 1995 Starlight, or on Facebook, and that is Kathy with a K, Dingman Starlight. So right now, this is the time for families. If you're not being friendly, out in public with your kids, this is the time. It's not too late. If you're not teaching your kids about cleaning up a room, or take them out, and get, hey, guess what? What, Mom? What, Dad? We're going to go out this weekend and we're going to do something different. What are we going to do? And reward them later on. Reward them later on. It's okay to reward them later on. Say, you know what? You love going to the park, right? Yeah, we love going to the park. Well, we're going to go and we're going to help out and we're going to clean. But you want to start that with the kids when they're little and do that all the way through. Teach them about being a part of this family. That's what it's about. It's about being a family and acting like a family, and that starts with the way we're raising our kids up in the world, is teach them. You got to be that example out there. I was always going to people and trying to save their soul. Not that I was saving their souls. My kids seen me to go, and we couldn't even go anywhere. Starlight was always going up to people, handing them Bible tracts, and trying to get people to go to church, trying to get kids to go out to church. My kids, I was that example of how to be. My kids, I drove my daughter crazy about, oh no, there goes mom again. She's going to go up to that person. I couldn't go past a person. I thought they were all going to go to hell if I didn't go and help them out. So my heart is so big. I have a huge heart, and you do too. I mean, like, if you work on yourself, you can have a huge heart where you can have a huge impact on people. And it doesn't mean that you have to have a lot of money. It means just having a heart and putting peace and love out in the world like it desperately needs. I love you so much. This is Starlight. Namaste. This is Starlight. Love, light, and